You've probably seen this map too, right? It pops up on Reddit every few months, usually on r/creepy or r/mapporn. It shows two images. One's a map of missing persons, the other is a map of America's subterranean cave system. The overlap, it's practically identical. Caverns match the disappearances almost one for one. Most people look at it, they go, huh, that's creepy. They just scroll past. I used to. But this time I zoomed in. I live in a rural stretch of Kentucky, deep in the foothills. I noticed a dense cluster of red dots right in my county. Sitting directly on top of a minor cave system called the Blackwood Sinkholes. It wasn't a tourist trap like Mammoth Cave, it was a jagged scar in the woods even locals didn't really bother with. Showed it to my girlfriend Jess. Calling Jess outdoorsy, that would be putting it lightly. She's the kind of girl who owns 3 different types of hiking boots. Thinks a weekend without dirt under her fingernails is a wasted one. And I'm the opposite, right? I stay up till 3 a.m. reading about unsolved murders. Generally just being a vampire. It's a match, see? I pointed at the screen. Nobody goes missing here because they get lost. They fall in or... I wiggle my eyebrows. Something pulls them in. Jess rolled her eyes, but grinned. You want to go ghost hunting? I want to go debunking, I corrected. We hike out, set up camp near the sinkholes, cook some actual food, drink some bourbon, and see if, the Mothman shows up. It was supposed to be fun. A mix of her love of nature and my morbid curiosity. We packed up the Jeep on Friday. Tents, sleeping bags, a heavy cooler filled with marinated short ribs, and ice for the whiskey. The hike to the Blackwood Sinks were only about 3 miles from the nearest logging road, but the terrain was brutal. The trees grew thick and wrong here, the roots twisting over their limestone ground like arthritic fingers. By the time we found the main entrance, I was ready to drop dead. The cave mouth was a horizontal slash on a limestone cliff face, about 10 feet high and 30 feet wide. It looked like a mouth held open in a silent scream. A steady cold breeze flowed out of it, smelling of wet rock and old copper. Creepy, Jess noted, dropping her pack. I can dig it. I love this girl. We set up camp about 50 yards from the entrance, just far enough to avoid the draft, but close enough to stare into the darkness. I got the fire going while Jess prepared the grill grate over the coals. We were doing this right. Slow-cooked, sticky ribs slathered in a spicy bourbon sauce. Heat from the grill coals licked at the meat, and the smell was intoxicating. Anyone who loves barbecue knows what I'm talking about. Smoke, fat, sugar, and char. Jess was walking back from the tent with the drinks when a downdraft caught the smoke, pulling the plume low across the ground and sucking it to the mouth of the cave. Feeding the beast? Jess joked, while handing me a solo cup half filled with Knob Creek. Hope they like the ribs, I laughed. We ate as the sunset turned to twilight, and then drank as twilight gave way to pitch black. Jess put her hand on my shoulder. Thought I was going to get lucky, but then she told me to shush. And that's when I heard the silence. All day there was a symphony of crickets, cicadas, and rustling leaves, but now the silence was thick. It was heavy and oppressive. It felt like the forest was holding its breath. And then the cave moaned. At first, you could probably mistake it for the wind. It was too low, too long of a groan to come from any human lungs. Then it got louder, closer. Jess whispered low. Did you hear that? It took me everything I had not to tremble. She shone her flashlight towards the cliff. The beam cut through the darkness, but the cave mouth swallowed the light. Probably a coyote or a bear. We should pack the food up tight, I murmured back, more to myself than to her. It didn't sound like a bear. It sounded congested. We started scrambling to clean up. I was tossing the bones into a trash bag when the sound changed. It wasn't moaning now. It was a retching noise, a wet, hacking cough that echoed from deep within the rock. A voice or something trying to be a voice. Maybe it wasn't English. Maybe my mind was trying to find meaning where there weren't any. Jess dropped the cooler lid. What the hell was that? I grabbed the hatchet I'd used for firewood. We're leaving. Now. The tent. Leave it. The smell hit us before we saw them. It wasn't the lingering sweet smoke of our barbecue anymore. It was a wave of rot, rancid meat, ammonia, something muskier, like a wet dog that had been dead for days. From the darkness of the cave, they came. They weren't human. They were wrong, elongated. It's the only word for it. They looked like humans who had been stretched on a rack. Pale skin pulled tight over bones that had too many joints. Their eyes were milky white, useless and blind. Long, rot-stained teeth, chipped and broken and jagged, stuck out from the low-hanging jaws that were too wide, too loose. And there were 3 of them. 2 of which crawled on the ground, and the third one limped in a jerky motion, all insect-like. They went straight for the grill. One of them grabbed the scorching hot grate with a bare, clawed hand. It didn't even flinch as its skin sizzled. It brought the meat to its face and groaned, licking the grease with a tongue that was too long, too black. Don't move, I whispered, terrified that the sound of my heartbeat would give us away. The creature let out a chittering sound, dropping the grate. It turned its head. It wasn't looking at us. It was blind. I could tell, but it was looking for us. It tilted its head, sniffing the air like a hungry dog. It was smelling for us. Then it arched its back and it wailed. It was a nails-on-chalkboard, teeth-grinding, bone-chilling screech that shot down my ears and prickled at something in my gut. It opened its too wide mouth and I saw death. Me, it rasped. I threw the bag of trash at it. It was instinct. The bag hit the screecher in the chest, spilling rib bones and paper towels. The distraction worked for a second. 3 of them fell upon the ribs and garbage in a frenzy. I could hear them snapping the bones with audible crunches. Run! I screamed. We sprinted through the dark woods. We tripped over roots, slammed into saplings, tore our clothes on briars. Behind us, the snapping of bones stopped, replaced by high-pitched, ululating shrieks that sounded like something between a coyote and a sobbing child. I could hear them crashing through the brush behind us. They were fast. They were so incredibly fast. We burst into the logging road just as I threw the keys to Jess. We dove into the Jeep. She slammed the locks just as something heavy slammed into the rear window. The glass spiderwebbed but held. I looked back as Jess peeled out. Dirt, gravel spraying everywhere. In the red glow of the taillights, I saw them. The tree line was filled with them. Some were standing in the middle of the road, dead still, just watching. There were so many. We drove in silence until we hit the highway. We didn't report it. I mean, who would believe us? We told our friends we got spooked by a cougar. But I went back to the map today. I looked at the cluster of red dots in my county, and I looked at the timeline. Most of the disappearances happen in the summer. Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day. Holidays. Holidays where people go outside, where people light fires, where people cook meat. But I thought the maps overlap because of people falling into holes. It's not. I thought the sinks were just holes in the ground, but they aren't. They're ventilation shafts. And when we play, and when we laugh, and we cook barbecues, we're ringing the dinner bells. Hey there, kids, it's me, MrCreepyPasta, and we're currently entering fall, which means Halloween is right around the corner. I just want to say thank you guys for watching tonight's video, listening to tonight's episode of the podcast, and to start expecting more audios as we go closer and closer to the spookiest day of the year. Once October starts, you know what that means. I'll be having out a video every single day until Halloween itself, and I expect to see you there. I mean it. I expect to see you there for every video, for every podcast episode, and I expect to see you like, comment, and subscribe, and all that jazz bell, what do you do on podcasts? Follow on Spotify? Yeah, that, for the month of October, and especially so you don't miss the 13-day countdown. Also, I want to give a huge thank you to everybody on this list of Patreons. Some of these amazing folks are Diana Kraus, AcidSystem, Blake Rattler, Brandon Mendoza, Brenna Caltuna, ChicagoHitman, CoryxKenshin, CrusaderChocobo, Dakota Best, Daniel Poulsen, Dante Kinkade, Enchanted Buns, Estebean, Hades' nephew, himbojerry, Our Minute Seconds Time, Ingegerd Solstrom, Jay Kearns, Jadis Pet, McMog, Mr. Marcus Blitz, Psychomel, Plant Piz, Red Shadow Cat, Remember the Sun, Salty Surprise, Samara Lynn, Seclude, Simba's Bloody Mojo, Sky Harbor, Smiley the Psychotic, Sully Man, Tully Sue, Team Leo 76, The Demented Voice in Your Head, The Chavez Brothers, The Ginger Bros, Tommy Walters, Viceroy Scorn, William Wellington, Your Bro Keegan, Zabub, and Shadow Gardens. A huge thank you to you guys, everybody who shows up in the description down below, and as always, folks, sweet dreams.